for flying. I need to get an oil change on the Luscombe, and I haven't figured out how to do this myself yet, so I figured it'd be best to have some professionals show me how to do it. Now, I also need about 1.2 more hours as a solo pilot before I can fly people, so I figured let's go fly someplace a little further away, or at least far for a Luscombe, to get the oil change done. So we're going to Classic Aviation in Oskaloosa, Iowa, which is one of those old Army training fields with a square runway lineup. And we'll go there, get the oil changed, and enjoy a little cross-country action on the way.
So let's look at it in slow motion again. You can see the plane starts drifting off and sticks all over the place. I need to stop doing that. The flight to Oskaloosa took a little under an hour. I got a reroute from Cedar Rapids. Not used to getting reroutes in the Bonanza, but when you're really slow and low, they like to send you well out of their way. But got to Oskaloosa. Switching fuel tanks here, which is a bit of a chore in this plane. You can see the square layout airfield up ahead. A ag pilot just landed before me and kind of gave me the scoop on the best wind. One of those days where you have two runways in 90-degree orientation, and both of them have the same amount of crosswind, but luckily it wasn't super windy, and as it happens a lot of times the wind dies down as you get closer to the ground. So let's watch this approach here. Coming in a little fast, but we got plenty of runway to bleed off that speed and make sure the airplane is aligned with the runway, and then we just keep the nose up, assume the position, the 3-point position, and just wait for the speed to bleed off. So with a tailwheel aircraft, if I landed wheels first and then the kind of mass of the airplane forced the tail down, if I'm going too fast, the plane's going to take off again because it increases the angle of attack of the wings. In this case, I landed tail first, and as the mass of the airplane pushes the front down, it actually reduces the angle of attack. So the plane is going to stay on the ground. Now, if you're going too fast, that doesn't matter, but when you're that close to stall speed, that plane's done flying. I taxied up to the ramp here, and my plan was actually to set up a time lapse of everyone working on the plane. Unfortunately, I screwed that part up, so all of the footage I have is a 1-second clip, and for your viewing enjoyment, I have looped it several times so it looks longer. But oil change got done, plane got a quick little inspection. We turned down the idle because the flight idle was way too high once the airplane warmed up, and then I was told to go take it around the ramp and get it up to temp so we could check for oil leaks and see if the idle needed more adjustment. So just doing donuts as you do with a tail wheel, which is a lot of fun. Got back to the ramp. We ended up setting the idle too low, so it was barely running. Went back and forth a few more times, got the idle dialed in, and then it was time to go back home. The wind had picked up just a little bit, but it was still manageable. That's the one thing with this plane, is I pay so much attention to the wind now, and I really didn't to this degree in the Bonanza, unless it was really blowing, right? So here we line up again, and just like the last takeoff, we got a little bit of a crosswind. And just like the last takeoff, you kind of see that right stick push. Not sure why I kept doing that. I'm not doing it anymore. This was a few weeks ago. So you see the hand to the right and back to the left. Now luckily, I'm doing this quick enough where it doesn't hugely affect the takeoff itself, but it is sloppy and I need to stop doing it. You can see airplanes in the air without much trouble. uneventful flight back home. One of the things I don't like about the Marion Airport is it doesn't have its own weather station, so we get wind from Cedar Rapids, which isn't near the airport. There was a Cherokee in the pattern, so I ended up doing a 360 on downwind and coming around for a landing on 17. It appeared that we're going to have a direct crosswind either way, and the existing pattern was already on 17, so I decided to go with the flow and line up for 17. Now here on the approach, you can see I'm going a bit too fast. I've managed to salvage landings with this kind of speed from this point before, but for some reason this landing just didn't feel right. So we got the crosswind correction going in here. You can see the crab angle. Luckily the wind died down again closer to the surface, but not without a few bumps first. But as I'm coming over the threshold, for some reason I didn't feel like trying to land. So I decided to go around again. Something just didn't look right. It just didn't feel right, and I couldn't quite place it at the moment. But check this out. See that windsock below the airplane? Turns out we actually had a quartering tailwind. So that kind of explains why the ground was going by a little bit faster and why I felt behind the airplane. You don't think of a slow airplane as something you fall behind on, but things just didn't feel right, so decided to go around. On the second go around, or the second approach attempt here, I made sure to keep my speed very neat and tight, right around 60. So you can see the speed there dropping between 55 and 65, kind of around 60. So I was happier with the speed. It still felt faster. You don't have that headwind component slowing you down, but at least we're starting at 60 and not at 80. So dialing in the crosswind correction here to keep the plane from drifting, and just working the plane down. The Luscombe has a pretty narrow wheelbase, and the landing gear doesn't like side load, so you really want to make sure to get everything lined up properly so you don't side load the main gear. Getting it straightened out here, assuming the position, fishing for the runway. And there we go. Left wing wanting to pick up a little bit there. If you notice, you can kind of see the horizon tilt. There's definitely this moment right after touchdown, but before you're slow enough, where you just feel the plane is light on its wheels, and you want to be careful with what you do, because that wing can still produce lift, not enough to fly away, but probably enough to lift itself up, put itself more into wind, and then flip you over. So here we see that 3-point touchdown, kind of touching on the tail wheel first, left wing trying to pick up and getting pushed back down. So this was a good way to get an oil change and get some flying in with less than ideal conditions, and help me expand my flight envelope a little bit. I got more videos on me learning how to fly this plane. If you subscribe, there's a whole playlist of just me learning to fly tailwheel. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.